welcome to the New Mexico Philharmonic's Wednesday Night Live. My guest tonight is soprano Shea Perry, and she is a multi-talented musician. And not only that, she also works with us in the New Mexico Philharmonic as personnel manager, and also she takes care of all of our visual media. So Shea was brought up in Connecticut, and she went to school at the University of Hartford, the Hart School of Music, where she graduated in vocal performance. And then she got her master's degree from the University of New Mexico in the vocal performance. We will start our show by listening to Shea perform Aaron Copland's Nature, the Gentlest Mother. On piano, her husband, Gabriel Longuinhos. Let's watch that. And here's my guest for tonight's show, Shea Perry. Good evening, Shea.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. And how wonderful to have you in the show. I've been waiting for tonight's show for a long time.
Aw. Me too.
So listen, this Copeland song that you just sang, tell us about this song and the next Copeland song that you're going to sing after this, which is going to be Laurie's song. So I actually didn't know many of the Copeland song except the old songs, right? The traditional ones that he included, he orchestrated, which I have done them, and they're just so beautiful. But I didn't know these that you just the one that you just sang and the one that you're about to sing. Tell us
Right.
about Copeland.
Well, when I was in my undergrad, I was friends with a lot of band people, band and orchestra people, and Copeland had a bad rap. It was all, just the standards, and people were, it's Copeland, roll their eyes. And I didn't understand that because my point of view was from Copeland songs are virtuosic and strange and way different than any other, any of his band and orchestra music. And so in Nature, the Gentlest Mother, I think my favorite aspect to it is all of the little animal sounds in the piano part. And the set, it's 12 poems, and the set was originally written for voice and piano. And so it's not like he was trying to mimic, some instrument with the sounds from the piano. Like they were all the piano. And so I find that to be really, really interesting and really beautiful. And that way, Gabriel can really dig into it instead of trying to like make himself sound like an orchestra.
And you have the privilege of having your husband as your accompanist. Gabriel Longuinhos, how does that work?
It works. That's kind of where we connect the most, is through conversations about music. And so that's where, I don't think either of us, when we first met, I don't think either of us really knew how deep the other person was until we started talking about music. And then, both of us started feeling more comfortable and talking about like what we really think is going on, not just the surface stuff. Like we talk a lot about the poetry, which, the more you dig into it, and, if you get a little bit intoxicated and dig into it, like you really find new ways to look at it, especially if you keep doing the same song over and over again. Because I did this song at my senior recital like 6 years ago. And so when we did it again for my graduate recital, it was a completely different experience.
How did you two meet? Tell us, you probably met in Albuquerque while you're doing your master's at University of New Mexico, correct?
Yes. So I had worked with a pianist named Marianne Ibarra, and she, for some reason, I don't remember why, but she couldn't do my graduate recital, and I was really bummed. But I thought, I'm gonna ask Gabriel, and maybe it'll be, a good match. And I started learning the rep, and he had to go back to Brazil for like 3 months. And so I was learning the rep all by myself, and I was like, where is this kid? And so he finally came back, and I had learned all the music, and he said, I don't know, for the first time I had seen, because he's very stoic. He's a very stoic, kind of introverted person. And for the first time, I think I saw some amazement in him, because he was like, wow, you like actually learned this music without me. And I was like, I do learn music. And so that was kind of the beginning of that. And it felt like such an accomplishment, because we put together Barber's Knoxville Summer of 1915, which is a 16-minute piece. We put that together in 2 weeks. Fantastic. He came back like 2 weeks before my recital. So,
well, let's watch Shea's next video, which is also a song from Aaron Copland's Laurie's song, Gabriel Longuinhos on piano, because that's how you pronounce it in Brazil.
Time dragged heavy and slow, but April came and August went before I knew just what they meant. And little by little I grew, and as I grew I came to know how fast the time could go. Once I thought I'd never go outside this fence. This space was plenty for me. But I walked down the road one day, and just what happened I can't say. But little by little it came to me, that line between the earth and sky came beckoning to me. Now the time has grown so short, the world has grown so wide. I'll be graduated soon. Why am I strange inside? What makes me think I'd like to try to go down all those roads beyond that line, above the earth and neath the sky? Tomorrow when I sit upon the graduation platform stand, I know my hand will shake when I reach out to take that paper with the ribbon end. Now that all the learning's done, oh, who knows what will now begin? Oh, it's so strange. I'm strange inside. The time has grown so short. The world so
Wow, how that was beautiful. Tell me, Shea, do you feel more comfortable singing in English, your native language, or do you have a preference for a language to sing?
I think my very favorite is German, because it's so explosive. And I find it to be even more explosive than English, because we don't always allow ourselves to really give a lot of give the proper diction to English. And so it takes a little bit more effort in English than it does in German.
I know,
but what
I have to say, it's such a wonderful language for music. It requires so much concentration in the pronunciation of every syllable, and sometimes, you know, with the language which is so natural to you, you wouldn't pay as much attention to the diction, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are some videos or recordings of myself from, you know, like years ago, where I'll listen and I'll be like, why would I say it's so simple. Some things like the word aisle, like I apostrophe LL. Maybe a couple years ago I might have sang it all, and like now I'd sing it aisle, and it's so subtle, and no, like people who are, you know, diction nerds like I am wouldn't really notice that, but I notice things like that all the time. Like when people say angels and angels, and like and it probably, some people when they hear me say those two words, they'd be like, what's the difference? But it makes a huge difference to a singer's ear.
I know, because it depends on which region the composer comes from. Like with the bossa nova, with Brazilian music, when people sing Jobim, they must sing it with the Portuguese from Rio de Janeiro, the Carioca accent, which is completely different from the São Paulo accent. And if you don't use the accent from Rio, it will just sound strange, because that's what it was meant to be. You know? But in the Coplands, I mean, he was from New York, I think from Brooklyn originally, right? You wouldn't sing Copland in a Brooklyn accent.
Yeah, English. Unless you're being really, really specific about a region, there is this standard. There's like an oh gosh, I forget what it's called, Americanized standard of how you sing certain things. And I mean, now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm sure that's, you know, kind of racist. But there is a standard, and you know, if we do want to break that, it starts with us. So
now, speaking of German songs, the next video we're going to watch is by German composer Richard Strauss. Sie trugen ihn auf der Bahre bloß. Now, what does that mean?
Oh gosh. So the translation, so this piece, it's really funky out of context. It's funky in general, but it's from Richard Strauss's Drei Lieder der Ophelia. And so this is Ophelia's lament. This is Ophelia going crazy. And so she's envisioning this this scene where her lover is dying. Of course, her father died, but the text is they carried him naked on the bier. Alas, the dear one, many a tear dropped in the grave. Farewell, my dove. My young fresh Johnny it is I love, and will he never come anymore? He is dead. To your deathbed go, he will come to you never more. And then, so it's kind of like this really somber text. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. But in the middle, like there are two sections where she's kind of just like sprightly and upright, and it's really the contrast is really interesting. I was watching a video of Glenn Gould explaining kind of Richard Strauss's intention with inflections in the words, and it's really interesting because I would never think to take this text and do what he did with it. He was kind of like a dramatical genius, so that's a big sing in a way that like you're not supposed to sing it, like you're supposed to do more with it than sing it.
And I mean, would you say it's kind of operatic in a way, because Richard Strauss was such a huge opera composer, right? Did he bring some of that drama to the songs as well?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's super dramatic, and so dramatic, in fact, that and this is something that Glenn Gould said that really stuck with me, was that he, in order to do the dramatic thing, Richard Strauss would do the wrong thing musically to do the right thing for the words, which I thought was really important to know before you sing it.
Well, let's watch this next video with Shea Perry singing Richard Strauss, Sie trugen ihm auf der Bahre bloß. And again, with Gabriel Longuinhos on piano. Wow, that was wonderful, Shea. Now, I really want to ask you, because I'm always amazed how you keep up your music and your singing and all the things you do, but you're also the New Mexico Philharmonic's personnel manager. And you have to deal with 80 musicians plus, and also be the artistic coordinator of our orchestra. And how is that part of your life?
That's a huge part of my life.
Was this something new for you before the New Mexico Philharmonic, or have you acted in that role previously before joining the New Mexico Philharmonic?
So I was I've been a chorus manager. I've managed a lot of singers and choir people and the like, and so this was I was new to the orchestra, and so I was ready to just like soak in all of the information like a sponge, because there are so many nuances that you can't even Google, like the order of hiring and things like that. You can't Google that stuff, and so I
Organizing
tried
auditions for positions in your orchestra and all that, right?
Yeah, that's been quite that it's not as hard as it seems. It's a lot of moving parts is the only thing. And so I think having ADHD is very helpful in that sense, where it's like I know I can like grab onto all these different things and not lose one. So lists help too. So
Well,
yeah.
a toast to you and how you handle so beautifully your music and all your other activities. Cheers.
Thank you.
Now, besides that, you're also much involved with educational program of the New Mexico Philharmonic, EMI, the Young Musicians Initiative. And tell us a little bit about EMI as well.
EMI is near and dear to my heart. I started out as a teacher, a choir teacher at EMI, and I studied music education. And in my last year at my undergrad, I kind of decided, you know what, I'm not sure this is for me. And then when our previous EMI coordinator, Alexis Corbin, asked me to teach at EMI, I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. I can try. Like, let me give it a try. I'm not so great with like the young ones. And then when I started it, I realized that I was leaving every single day feeling like I had made a difference. Even on the bad days, like some of those kids, they can be mean.
It is always so rewarding though to invest your time and efforts with young children, right? I mean, it's the little experience I have had with teaching and dealing with education, and especially with kids, have been really rewarding. Not easy, sometimes very challenging, but
yeah, and it's rewarding, but sometimes you have to wait for it a little bit. Like the student that is the most like resistant and defiant, like at the end of the year, they're the ones that come up to you and say, you're my favorite person, and you're just sitting there shocked, in this hug, and you're like, I was your favorite person. Well, good to know. Like, this is so it's kind of
I always get very inspired when I see myself, and I remember myself at 9 years old learning music and starting to learn things, and then it says, oh my God, I used to be just like that. Do you get that sometimes?
Oh my gosh, yes. Especially, I mean, I was always the confused kid. I was always the one who didn't get it. And so when a kid doesn't get it, I'm always like, I don't worry. You will get it, number
It's
one.
gonna
And
be
number two,
fine.
it's gonna be fine. I was you. Like you're gonna be fine.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. At the end, everything is going to be fine. And
Mhm.
speaking of it's going to be fine, we're back with German songs with your favorite language to sing. And this time it is Albenberg in Zimmer. So tell us about this next song we're about to hear and watch.
This is a piece in Alban Berg's 7 songs. Ooh, sieben frühe Lieder. And this one is just so sweet and so monotone, not monotone, like calm. Calm is a good word for it. The words are autumn sunshine, the lovely evening looks in so silently. A little red fire crackles and blazes in the hearth. Like this, with my head on your knees, like this, I am content. When my eyes rest in yours like this, how gently the minutes pass.
Oh, that's beautiful. Let's watch this now. Albenberg in Zimmer.
Knistert im Ofen noch und laut. Meine Kraft auf deinem Knien, ist mir gut, wenn meine Augen so in deinem Rot. Wir Mäuse, die mit Worten ziehen.
Well, thank you for bringing Albenberg to the Wednesday Night Live. This is the first time we play a piece by Albenberg, which is really one of the most incredible composers of the beginning of the 20th century. And Shea, I know that during the pandemic times, you were very active with your own initiatives. In the orchestra, you started our program, Fill the Silence, and many other efforts that you have done during this time. So tell me about that. I mean, how did you immediately feel when we were, entrapped in our homes and without the possibility of performing live? And how did these ideas started coming to you, and how was your struggle and dealings with the pandemic?
My first thought went straight to the musicians because I knew, like, oh my gosh, look at all of the work that they lost. That was heartbreaking. And so with this newfound time that we had all of a sudden, I'm terrible when I have free time because I'm like, let me fill it with every single thing ever. But I did, and it was super fulfilling. Trying to come up with ways that I didn't have time for before, but then I suddenly had time for, like, the at-home headshots. I would go to musicians' houses, and they'd come out on their porch, and I'd be masked, and I would have my zoom lens, and I would take their photo. When I had never actually taken headshots of any of the musicians before, and so I kind of got to know some of them in a different way. Got to see their homes, which was really, well, the outside of their homes, which was really beautiful. And I just thought, we should be doing something. I just wanted to be doing something.
Well, this is part of your job also. You are visual media and arts administration, so you deal a lot with the visual media of the New Mexico Philharmonic, right?
Yeah, I try. I mean, there's little more beautiful than an orchestra to take photos of. Especially, especially horns. Like that's the most beautiful instrument to take a photo of. So, not
Just
to,
happened to be
trying to butter
Branson,
you up.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, there's once I started to, take photos from, right off stage, especially like I would like sneak up to the little crack in the shell and take
Right.
photos there, and finding all these
Some of
creative
those are
ways.
really amazing.
Oh, thank you. Trying to find creative ways to promote the orchestra, I think is a passion of mine that I knew existed, but when the pandemic hit, I discovered a passion for something, for passion for videography and promotional content and photography, something that I didn't know existed so deeply, because I knew I loved music, but there was something else in there that was just itching to get out. So that was, the pandemic is an awful thing, but I hope that we can realize and recognize what we've learned from it.
Absolutely.
About ourselves and about other people.
Well, we are very grateful for all the wonderful things that you have brought to the New Mexico Philharmonic, and it's great to have you in the show. Really,
thanks for having me.
Participating. And I look forward to being in Albuquerque soon for the start of our season.
Yay.
And we have auditions coming up, and many wonderful concerts ahead. So really looking forward. So we're going to finish our show by watching the last video of tonight, Shea Perry and Gabriel Longuinhos performing So This Is Love. Tell us about This Is Love. This is from Cinderella, right?
Yes, so this is actually me by myself.
Oh yeah, that's great. You're singing
pretty
and playing, right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty significant because I had been recording myself. I hadn't recorded myself a lot prior to the pandemic. Like this was a new thing for me, and so it was Gabrielle and I doing classical music, and then it was me by myself doing pop music basically, and musical theater. This was actually the first song that I found where I could sing in a classical way, in a classical style, while playing the piano. So that was a really freeing feeling for me. So this is nearly near and dear to my heart for that reason.
Fantastic. And this is going to be both in English and German?
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shea. Congratulations on your beautiful performances, and also at your performance, also at the many jobs and all the responsibilities you have with our orchestra. So we really appreciate that. And I like to thank Matt Hart, our production manager, without whom we wouldn't have been able to put these shows together for you. And thank you all for being with us every week for the Wednesday Night Live. Please join us next week for another great show. And remember, stay healthy, stay safe. Let's enjoy now Shea both singing and playing the piano on So This Is Love. Thank you, Shea. Good night, everyone.
So this is love. So this is love. So this is what makes life divine. I'm all aglow, and now I know the key to our heaven is mine. My heart has wings, and I can fly. I'll touch every star on the sky. So this